The Galactic Union had kept peace for 3,000 years. 12 different species lived together in harmony. They traded with each other. They shared knowledge. They celebrated their differences. War was something they only read about in old history books. Station Orel floated in the empty space between star systems. It was a massive structure, built by all 12 species working together. This was where they held their peace summits. This was where new civilizations came to join the family of stars. Ambassador Kira stood near the docking bay, waiting for the newcomers to arrive. She was a Velen, a species known for their gentle nature and diplomatic skills. Her skin was pale and slightly see-through. She had 4 thin arms and large dark eyes that showed every emotion she felt. In her 200 years of service, she had welcomed many new species to the station. It was always a happy occasion. The sensors had found the humans 6 months ago. They came from a small blue planet in a quiet corner of the galaxy. The Galactic Union sent them an invitation immediately. This was standard procedure. Find new life. Invite them to talk. Welcome them to the community. Kira had studied everything the Union knew about humans. They were a young species. They had only been traveling in space for a short time. Their planet was called Earth. They seemed eager to meet other civilizations. The human ship appeared on the screens first. Kira leaned forward to get a better look. Her pleasant expression slowly changed to confusion. The ship was not like anything she had seen before. It was dark gray, almost black. Its shape was sharp and angular, like it was made of blades. Along its sides were rows of what looked like weapon ports. The whole thing looked aggressive. It looked dangerous. Dockmaster Toma, another Velen, stood at his control panel with shaking hands. "Ambassador," he said quietly, "should I alert security?" Kira considered this. Perhaps humans simply had different ideas about ship design. Perhaps this was beautiful to them. She should not judge too quickly. "No," she said. "Let us greet them properly. They have come a long way." The ship docked with a heavy clunk that echoed through the bay. The airlock connected. Lights turned green. The door began to open. Kira arranged her 4 arms in the traditional Velen welcome pose. She prepared her warmest smile. The door slid open fully. 3 figures stepped out. The first was a female human. She was not tall, but she moved with a kind of easy confidence that made Kira uncomfortable. Her hair was dark and pulled back from her face. Her skin was a warm brown color. She wore a uniform of deep blue with gold markings on the shoulders. Behind her came a male human. He was much larger than the female. His shoulders were wide. His arms were thick with what Kira would later learn was called muscle. He stood straight and alert, his eyes moving constantly, watching everything. The third was another female. She was younger looking and carried a small device in her hands. She had a soft expression on her face. The first female stepped forward. Her lips pulled back to reveal 2 rows of white teeth. Kira felt her heart stop. Teeth, so many teeth. They were the teeth of a predator. They were made for biting, for tearing, for killing. The human raised one of her hands toward Kira. The hand had 5 thick fingers. Kira could see the bones moving beneath the skin. She could see tendons stretching and pulling like cables. It was the hand of something that grabbed prey and never let go. "Hello," the human said. Her voice was warm, but it resonated in frequencies that made Kira want to run. "I am Captain Unipark of Earth. We are honored to meet you," Kira screamed. She could not help it. Every instinct in her body, passed down through millions of years of evolution, told her she was looking at a predator. Her species had been prey once, long ago. Those ancient fears never truly disappeared. They lived in the blood. They lived in the bones. She stumbled backward, all 4 arms raised in the gesture of complete submission. "Please do not eat me. Please do not hurt me." Behind her, 3 security officers collapsed. They simply fainted. Their bodies fell to the floor with soft thumps. Captain Una froze. Her hands stayed in the air, still extended in greeting. The smile faded from her face. Confusion replaced it. "Did I do something wrong?" She asked. The large male, Lieutenant Tae Kim, looked around at the chaos. "Captain, why is everyone on the floor?" The younger female specialist, Hannah Lee, checked her device. "I do not understand. We followed all the protocols." We smiled. We extended friendship. Kira was pressed against the wall now. Her whole body was shaking. She tried to speak, but only small sounds came out. The humans did not move toward her. They just stood there looking worried and confused. More station staff arrived. They saw the humans. They ran away. Captain Yuna slowly lowered her hand. She looked at her own fingers as if seeing them for the first time. Then she looked at Lieutenant Tae and Specialist Hannah. "Maybe we should go back to our ship," she said quietly. "But we just got here," Tae said. "I know, but I think we scared them somehow." "How?" "We did not do anything." Yuna had no answer. She genuinely did not understand. They had practiced for this moment for months. They had learned every greeting, studied every custom. They had brought gifts. They had come with open hearts, but everywhere she looked, she saw fear. A voice came over the station speakers. It was trembling badly. "Human delegation, please remain in the docking area. Security will escort you to your quarters. Please do not approach any station personnel. Please do not make any sudden movements." Hannah looked at her captain with wide eyes. "They think we are dangerous." "We're not dangerous," Yuna said. "We came in peace." "I know that." "You know that?" But they do not know that. Kira had managed to stand up again. She was still shaking, but she was an ambassador. She had a duty. With great effort, she took a step toward the humans. Then, another. Each step felt like walking toward death. "Welcome," she managed to say. Her voice was barely a whisper. "Welcome to Station Orel." Yuna looked at her with those predator eyes. But in them, Kira saw something she did not expect. She saw sadness. She saw hurt. "Thank you," Yuna said softly. "We are happy to be here." Neither of them believed it. This was not how first contact was supposed to go. Kira had welcomed dozens of species. There had been celebrations. There had been joy. There had never been screaming. What were these humans? Where did they come from? What kind of world created beings like this? As security finally arrived to escort the humans away, Kira realized she would need to find answers to these questions. The fate of the peace summit might depend on it. The humans walked away quietly. They did not resist. They did not complain. They simply followed the guards, their strange predator bodies moving with an easy grace that made every deceive. The Velen in the hallway pressed themselves against the walls. Kira watched them go. Her hearts were still racing. What had the Union invited into their midst? News traveled fast on Station Orel. Within 1 hour, every being on the station knew about the humans. Stories spread through hallways and communication channels. Each telling made the humans sound more terrifying than the last. Ambassador Vel called an emergency meeting. Vel was a Norin, a species that existed as floating balls of glowing gas. They were considered among the wisest beings in the Union. When Vel spoke, everyone listened. The observation room was crowded. Representatives from all 12 species had come. They pressed together near the back wall, as far as possible from the window that looked into the human quarters. Through that window, they could see the 3 humans. Captain Yuna sat on a chair, reading something on a small screen. Lieutenant Tae was on the floor, pushing his body up and down with his arms. Specialist Hannah was unpacking containers and arranging items on a table. "Look at the male," whispered High Priest Ren. He was a being of many segments, like a centipede made of polished stone. His religion taught that all life was sacred. Right now, he was questioning that belief. "Look at what he is doing." They all watched as Tae continued his exercise. His arms bent and straightened, bent and straightened. The muscles in his body shifted beneath his skin like living things. He is building strength, Vel observed, his glow flickering with worry. He is preparing his body for physical conflict. "They are soldiers," said Delegate Sola of the Mirror. She was covered in beautiful feathers that changed color with her mood. Right now, they were gray with fear. "They have sent soldiers to a peace meeting. Kira was there too. She had not stopped shaking since the docking bay. "I have studied their files," she said. "They say they are diplomats, ambassador, security officer, cultural specialist." "Then why does the security officer look like he could tear through metal with his bare hands?" Ren asked. No one had an answer. In the human quarters, Tay finished his exercise and stood up. He walked to a container and lifted it with one arm. He moved it across the room and set it down. Then he lifted another, and another. The delegates watched in horror. Each container weighed more than most of them could push. The human male was lifting them like they weighed nothing. "Their planet," Vel said slowly. "What do we know about it?" Kira pulled up information on her display. "It is called Earth. Third planet from their sun. It has one large moon." "What about the environment?" Kira read further. Her face grew pale. "It has everything. Oceans that crush anything that goes too deep. Mountains taller than our tallest structures. Deserts where temperatures can kill in hours. Frozen lands where the cold stops blood in veins. Forests filled with predators. Swamps filled with poison. Active volcanoes?" Someone asked. "Yes, many of them. Earthquakes. Regular ones." The room fell silent. Sola's feathers turned pure white, the color of complete terror. "They evolved on a death world," she whispered. "They survived a death world." The concept was almost too horrible to understand. Every species in the Union came from gentle planets. Worlds with stable climates, predictable seasons, few predators. That was how intelligent life developed. You needed safety to grow. You needed peace to think. But humans had grown on a world that tried to kill them every day. And they had not just survived. They had conquered it. They had built civilizations. They had reached the stars. What kind of creatures could do that? "We need to know more," Vel said. "We need to understand them." "How?" Ren asked. "How do we study predators without becoming prey?" "We watch. We listen. We learn, so they watched. They watched Yuna eat her evening meal. She used a metal tool to cut her food into pieces. The tool had a sharp edge, like a weapon. She put the pieces in her mouth and chewed. Her jaw muscles flexed with frightening power. They watched Hannah brush her hair. She pulled a tool with many teeth through the dark strands. They had not known humans had so much hair. It covered their heads like a mane, like a predator's mane. They watched Tay remove his uniform shirt to change clothes. The delegates gasped. His body was covered in defined muscles. Every part of him looked designed for violence, for survival, for winning. "The scars," someone said. "Look at the scars." Tay had marks on his skin, old wounds that had healed. "Evidence of past damage. He's been injured before," Kira said. "Many times. And he survived," Vel added. "He was hurt and he healed, and he kept going." Sala made a soft sound of distress. What could hurt something like that? What could hurt him and not kill him? "His own planet," Ren answered. "His own terrible planet." Humans finished preparing for sleep. Yuna dimmed the lights. She lay on her bed and closed her eyes. Tay and Hannah did the same on their own beds. "They sleep," Kira observed. "Like us." "Do not let that comfort you," Vel warned. "Many predators sleep. They rest so they can hunt again." The observation room slowly emptied. Delegates returned to their quarters, but none of them would sleep well tonight. The knowledge of what was aboard their station would keep them awake. Kira stayed behind. She stood alone at the window, watching the humans rest. In sleep, they looked less frightening. Their faces were relaxed. Their bodies were still. Yuna had curled slightly on her side, one hand tucked under her cheek. She looked almost peaceful, almost gentle. But Kira could not forget the teeth. She could not forget the hands. She could not forget the easy way Tay had lifted weights that should have been impossible. "What am I supposed to do?" she thought. "How am I supposed to make peace with beings that terrify me just by existing?" She thought about the Velen history. Her species had once been prey. Small creatures that lived in fear of larger hunters. They had survived by being careful, by hiding, by running. Eventually, the predators died out. The Velen inherited their world. They built a gentle civilization. They joined the stars, but they never forgot the fear. It was coded into their very cells. When they saw something that looked like a predator, they panicked. They could not help it, and humans looked like the ultimate predators. Kira made a decision. Tomorrow, she would try to talk to them. Really talk. One-on-one, with no audience, no security standing by. She would face her fear. She would try to understand. It was the only way forward, but that was tomorrow. Tonight, she let herself be afraid. She stood at the window and watched the sleeping humans and trembled. She was not ashamed. Fear was natural. Fear was honest. What mattered was what you did, despite the fear. Kira finally left the observation room and returned to her own quarters. She did not sleep. She spent the night reading everything she could find about Earth, about humans, about their history, their culture, their wars, and their art. What she found confused her even more. They were violent. Their history was filled with wars, with conflicts, with terrible destruction. They had weapons that could destroy entire cities. They had killed millions of their own kind, but they also had music. They had poetry. They had paintings of incredible beauty. They had stories about love and sacrifice and hope. They had heroes who died to save strangers. They had ordinary people who showed kindness every day. The humans were a contradiction. They were predators and protectors. They were warriors and artists. They were terrifying and somehow also beautiful. Kira did not understand them, but she wanted to as the station lights shifted to indicate morning. She prepared herself for what she had to do. She was going to talk to the humans. She was going to face the monsters, and she was going to find out who they really were. The Grand Chamber was the heart of Station Orel. It was a massive circular room with seats arranged in rings, rising upward like a bowl turned inside out. In the center was a platform where speakers could address the assembly. The ceiling was transparent, showing the endless stars beyond. Today, all 12 species had gathered for the opening session of the Peace Summit. They filled the seats in nervous clusters, each group staying close to their own kind. Every eye was on the door. The humans entered. Captain Yuna came first. She had dressed carefully in her best uniform. The fabric was clean and pressed. Gold symbols on her shoulders caught the light. She had spent an hour practicing her walk, trying to move slowly, trying not to seem threatening. It did not work. The room fell silent. Someone in the upper rows made a sound like a frightened animal. Yuna pretended not to notice. Lieutenant Tay followed her. He had been ordered to stand at the back and not move unless necessary. He had been told not to smile. When humans smiled, other species saw a predator showing its teeth. Tay kept his face carefully blank. Specialist Hannah came last. She carried the tapestry they had brought as a gift. It was beautiful work, woven by artists on Earth, showing the planet's landscapes. Mountains and oceans, forests and deserts. All the environments that humans called home. Yuna stepped onto the speaker's platform. She looked around the room at all the different beings. She saw fear in every face, in every eye cluster, in every color-changing skin patch. They were all afraid of her. She took a breath. "Greetings," she said. She kept her voice soft. She had learned that human voices could trigger fear responses in other species. "On behalf of Earth, I thank you for welcoming us. We have traveled very far to be here. We are honored to meet you all." Anna stepped forward with the tapestry. She unrolled it carefully, showing the images. "We bring this gift," Yuna continued. "It shows our home world. We want to share it with you. We want you to know where we come from." High Priest Ren leaned forward to look at the tapestry. His many segments clicked together nervously. "Those mountains," he said. "How tall are they?" "The tallest is almost 9 kilometers high," Hannah answered. A murmur ran through the room. 9 kilometers. The Hollow Faith home world had no mountains higher than 2, the blue areas. Delegate Sola asked, her feathers shifting to anxious yellow. Oceans. They cover most of our planet. In some places, they are 11 kilometers deep. More murmuring. More fear, the red area. Someone called out, "Ow!" Temperatures can reach 50 degrees. Very little water. Many creatures still live there, in this white area. Ice. Frozen land. Temperatures can drop to minus 90 degrees. Humans have bases there. We do scientific research. The room had become very quiet. Yuna looked at the faces around her. She was starting to understand something. These beings came from gentle worlds. Worlds without extreme temperatures. Worlds without crushing depths. Worlds without endless, hostile environments. They were not just afraid of how humans looked. They were afraid of what humans had survived. I see that our world seems strange to you, Yuna said carefully. Perhaps frightening. But to us, it is home. It is beautiful. We love it. How? The question came from Ambassador Vel. His glowing form pulsed with genuine confusion. How can you love a place that tries to kill you? Yuna thought about this. Because it made us who we are. Every challenge made us stronger. Every danger taught us to protect each other. We survived because we worked together. Because we cared for each other. The room was not convinced. She could see it in their postures, their colors, their trembling limbs. Then Lieutenant Tay sneezed. It was not his fault. Something in the station's air had tickled his nose. He tried to hold it back, but the pressure built and released in a sudden explosive burst. His whole body jerked with the force of it. 2 delegates fainted immediately. 3 more screamed. The entire Mir delegation scattered, their feathers flying everywhere. Security officers rushed toward the human group, then stopped when they got close, too afraid to actually approach. Tay stood frozen, his hand over his nose. "I am sorry," he said. "I just sneezed. I did not mean to scare anyone." But the damage was done. The session was suspended. Delegates fled the room. Within minutes, only the humans remained. Yuna sat down heavily on the platform. She put her face in her hands. "We are failing," she said. Hannah sat beside her. "We are trying our best. Our best is not enough. They are terrified of us. They think we are monsters." Tay joined them, careful to move slowly. "Maybe we should leave. Go home. Tell Earth that we are not ready for this." Yuna lifted her head. Her eyes were bright but determined. "We came here to make friends, to prove that humanity can be part of something bigger. We cannot give up because it is hard. Then what do we do?" Hannah asked, why Yuna thought for a long moment. She thought about all the preparation they had done, all the customs they had learned, all the protocols they had followed. None of it had helped. "We've been trying to be what they expect," she said slowly. "Trying to seem less human, less threatening. But that is not working. They can see through it. So what is the alternative? We be ourselves. Completely, honestly ourselves. We show them who we really are. Not diplomats following scripts. Not ambassadors hiding their nature. Just humans. Real humans?" Tay frowned. "But we scare them just by existing. Then we show them that scary does not mean dangerous. We show them that strong does not mean violent. We show them that predators can also be protectors." Hannah nodded slowly. "It might work. Or it might make things worse." Yes, Yuna agreed. "But doing nothing will definitely make things worse. At least this way, we have a chance." They spent the rest of the day in their quarters, planning. They talked about what made them human. What they loved, what they feared, what they hoped for. Yuna talked about her family back on Earth, her parents, who were farmers, her sister, who was a teacher, her niece, who was learning to walk. Tay talked about his childhood, growing up in a small town, playing games with friends, learning to swim in the ocean. The first time he saw snow, Hannah talked about art, about the paintings she loved, the music that moved her, the poetry that made her cry. They were not just soldiers and diplomats. They were people, with memories and dreams, with loves and losses. with fears and hopes. If the aliens could see that, maybe they would understand. Maybe they would stop being afraid. Or maybe they would be more afraid than ever. There was no way to know. But trying was better than giving up. The next morning, Yuna requested a private meeting with Ambassador Kira. Kira agreed. The meeting that followed would change everything. The meditation chamber was a small room near the center of Station Arel. It was designed for quiet conversation. The walls were curved and soft. The light was gentle. 2 seats faced each other across a low table. Ambassador Kira arrived first. She sat in her chair and tried to calm her racing hearts. She had volunteered for this. She had chosen to be here. But her body did not care about her choices. Her body remembered ancient fears. The door opened. Captain Yuna entered alone. She moved slowly, carefully. She kept her hands visible at all times. She lowered herself into the opposite chair with deliberate gentleness. "Thank you for meeting with me," Yuna said. Her voice was soft. Kira nodded. She did not trust herself to speak yet. They sat in silence for a moment. Yuna did not push. She waited. Finally, Kira found her voice. "I need to understand something. Anything. Why are you here? Why did you really come?" Yuna thought about the question. She could give the official answer. Diplomatic relations. Cultural exchange. Mutual benefit. But that was not what Kira was asking. "We were lonely," Yuna said. Kira's large eyes blinked. "Lonely? For thousands of years, we looked at the stars. We wondered if anyone else was out there. We sent messages into space, hoping someone would answer. We built telescopes and satellites. We searched and searched, but we found nothing. Just silence." Yuna paused. Her eyes were distant, remembering when your invitation arrived, people cried. Billions of people. All over our planet, crying with joy. We were not alone. There were others. There was a community of stars, and we were invited to join. Kira leaned forward slightly. She was listening carefully. "We built our best ship," Yuna continued. "We chose people we thought would represent us well. We practiced greetings in every language we could find. We brought gifts. We came with open hearts." "But your ship," Kira said. "It looked like a warship." Yuna laughed softly. It was not a happy sound. "Our ship is beautiful to us. We built it to be strong because space is dangerous. We built it to survive. We did not know it would look threatening to you. To us, it is simply well made. And the weapons. Not weapons. Defense systems. Protection against asteroids, radiation, debris. Our corner of space has many dangers. We build everything to be tough." Kira considered this. "Your bodies," she said, almost whispering. "They scare us. The muscles, the teeth, the eyes that track movement." Yuna held up her hand. She turned it slowly, looking at it. "This hand has never hurt anyone. It has held my mother's hand when she was sick. It has carried my niece when she was tired. It has planted seeds in soil and shaped clay into art." She met Kira's eyes. "We did not choose how we look. Our planet chose for us. Everything on Earth wants to survive. So our bodies became good at surviving. But that does not mean we want to hurt anyone. Your history says otherwise." Kira had studied. She knew about human wars. "You have killed millions of your own kind." The words hung in the air. Yuna did not look away. She said, Humanity has done terrible things. We have been cruel. We have been violent. We have made mistakes that cost millions of lives." She took a breath. "But we have also learned. Every war taught us the cost of violence. Every tragedy taught us the value of peace. We built this darkness, and then we built ways to fight it. Laws and institutions. Education and connection. We are not perfect. We are still learning. But we are trying." Kira felt something shift inside her. The fear was still there, but something else was growing alongside it. Curiosity, interest, the beginning of understanding. "Show me," she said. "Show me who humans really are." Yuna pulled out a small device. She activated it, and a holographic display appeared between them. "This is my family," Una said. Images appeared. An older couple standing in a field of green plants. A young woman standing in front of a building with children around her. A tiny girl taking unsteady steps across a room. "My parents grow food. They wake up before the sun and work until dark. They have never hurt anyone in their lives. They just want to feed people," or images. The young woman reading to children. The children laughing. "My sister teaches young ones. She helps them learn to read and think and dream. She believes every child deserves a chance." Tiny girl appeared again. She was falling down, then getting up, then falling again. But she kept trying to walk. "My niece is learning. She falls down 100 times a day, but she never stops trying. That is what humans do. We fall and we get up. Over and over, forever." Kira watched the images cycle past. She saw humans swimming in oceans, climbing mountains, dancing in streets, singing together, crying together, holding each other. "We love," Una said. "We lose. We grieve. We hope. We fear. We dream." She looked at Kira with eyes that were wet. "Right. We are terrifying to you. I understand. But we are also fragile. We get sick. We grow old. Die. We are strong and weak at the same time. We are everything at once." Kira reached out with one trembling hand. It was the hardest thing she had ever done. Every instinct screamed at her to pull back, to run, to hide. But she pushed through the fear. Her thin fingers touched Yuna's wrist. The human skin was warm. She could feel a pulse beneath the surface. A heartbeat. Just like her own. Different rhythm. Different pace. But the same basic thing. Life flowing through this creature. Life just like hers. Una did not move. She let Kira touch her. She let Kira feel her humanity. "We came to make friends," Una said. "That is all. We just wanted friends." Kira felt tears forming in her own eyes. This was not a monster. This was not a predator waiting to strike. This was a lonely being who had crossed the stars hoping for connection. "I believe you," Kira said, and she meant it. They talked for hours after that. Una showed her human music. Kira listened to symphonies that made her feel things she could not name. Una showed her human art. Kira saw paintings that captured beauty and pain in equal measure. She learned about human holidays where families gathered to give thanks, about human traditions where strangers helped each other for no reason, about human heroes who sacrificed everything to save people they never knew. The fear did not disappear. It was still there, lurking beneath the surface. But now it shared space with something else. Wonder, respect, the beginning of friendship. When they finally left the meditation chamber, Kira had made a decision. She would speak to the assembly. She would tell them what she had learned. She would ask them to see the humans as she now saw them. It would not be easy. Fear was powerful. But so was truth. And the truth was that humans were not monsters. They were just people. Strange, strong, terrifying people. But people nonetheless. People who deserved a chance. The grand chamber was full again. Every seat was taken. Every species was represented. The air was thick with tension and anticipation. Ambassador Kira stood on the central platform. She had never been more nervous in her 200 years of life, but she had never been more certain either. Captain Una stood beside her. This time, there was no distance between them. They stood together. Equals. Kira raised her forearms for silence. The chamber slowly quieted. "I have walked among the humans," she began. Her voice was clear and strong. "I have spent time with them. I have listened to their stories. I have touched their skin. I have felt their hearts beat." The room stirred uncomfortably. Some delegates could not believe what they were hearing. Kira had touched a human. Voluntarily? "I know you were afraid," Kira continued. "I was afraid too. I am still afraid in some ways. Our bodies remember ancient dangers. Our instincts scream warnings when we see them. These fears are real. I do not dismiss them. She paused and looked around the chamber. But fear can lie to us. Fear can make us see monsters where there are none. Fear can make us reject friends before we have a chance to know them. High Priest Ren spoke from his seat. Ambassador, with respect, you ask us to ignore our instincts. You ask us to embrace creatures that every part of us says are dangerous. I ask you to look deeper, Kira replied. Yes, humans are strong. Yes, they come from a harsh world. Yes, they have done terrible things in their past. But they have also done beautiful things. They have created art and music that moves the soul. They have built communities of kindness. They have sacrificed their own lives to save strangers. She gestured to Yuna. This woman crossed the stars because her species was lonely. Billions of beings looking up at the night sky, wondering if anyone else was out there. When we invited them here, they cried with joy. They built their best ship. They chose their kindest representatives. They came with open hearts and weapons, someone called out. Defense systems, Kira corrected. Their space is dangerous. They build things to survive. This does not make them violent. It makes them careful. Just like us. Delegate Sola rose, her feathers shifting through uncertain colors. You speak of what they feel. But what about what they do? Their history is filled with wars. Yuna stepped forward. May I speak? The room tensed, but Kira nodded. You are right, Yuna said. Our history has wars. We have been cruel to each other. We have destroyed and killed. This is our shame. We cannot erase it. She let the words settle. But we have also learned from every tragedy. We have built better. We have created systems to prevent conflict. We have taught our children about the cost of violence. Every generation is more peaceful than the one before. She turned slowly, looking at all the different species. We are not asking you to forget what we were. We are asking you to see what we are trying to become. We want to be better. We want to learn from you. You have maintained peace for 3,000 years. We want to understand how. We want to join you on that path. Ambassador Vel floated forward, his glow contemplative. And what do you offer in return? What do humans bring to this union? Yuna smiled. It was a careful smile, small and close-lipped. She had learned. We bring endurance. When things are hard, we do not give up. We keep trying until we succeed. We bring creativity. We find solutions to problems that seem impossible. We bring passion. When we care about something, we care completely. She paused. We bring protection. I know we scare you. I understand why. But think about what that fear means. If we scare you just by being ourselves, imagine what we could do to anyone who threatened you. The room fell completely silent. We do not want to conquer, Yuna continued. We do not want to dominate. We want friends. We want family. We want to belong. But if anyone ever threatens this union, threatens any of you, they will have to go through us first. And I promise you, that is not something they would want to do. Lieutenant Tay stood at the back of the room, motionless. But every being there could see what he was. A guardian. A protector. A force that could be terrible to enemies or wonderful to friends. Kira stepped forward again. The humans are not asking to replace any of us. They are asking to stand beside us. Different, yes. Frightening, yes. But committed to peace. Committed to friendship. She looked at Yuna with genuine warmth. I was terrified of her when we first met. I screamed. I could not help it. But now I am proud to call her my friend. Not because she became less human, but because I learned to see her humanity. She turned back to the assembly. I propose that we grant humanity full membership in the Galactic Union. I propose that we welcome them not despite what they are, but because of it. Their strength can be our strength. Their passion can be our passion. Their protection can be our protection. The vote was called. Species by species. The delegates made their choices. The Velen voted yes. The Norin voted yes. The Mir hesitated, their feathers shifting through every color. But finally voted yes, one by one. All 12 species agreed. The vote was unanimous. Una felt tears running down her face. She did not try to hide them. Lieutenant Tay was smiling so hard his face hurt. Specialist Hannah was crying openly, her datapad forgotten. Kira took Una's hand. This time, there was no fear. Only warmth. Only friendship. Only the beginning of something new. "Welcome to the Galactic Union," Kira said. "Why?" UNA could barely speak. "Thank you. Thank you for giving us a chance. Thank you for seeing past your fear. Thank you for being patient with us," Kira replied. "Thank you for not giving up." The celebration lasted for days. Humans and aliens talking, learning, laughing, finding common ground despite all their differences. Tay discovered that the Anorian enjoyed games of strategy. He taught them chess. They taught him their own games, played with floating lights and complex rules. He made friends. Hannah found artists among every species. They shared techniques. They showed each other their work. They discovered that beauty was universal, even if it took different forms. She made friends. Una talked with leaders from every world. She learned their concerns. She shared her hopes. She began building the connections that would bind humanity to its new family. She made friends. When it was finally time for the human delegation to return home, the docking bay was crowded with beings who had come to say goodbye, not to watch with fear, to wave, to wish them well, to ask when they would return. Why UNA stood at the airlock and looked back at the crowd. At Kira, waving with all four arms. At Vel, glowing bright with happiness. At Sola, her feathers shining gold, the color of joy. "We will be back," Una promised. This is just the beginning. The ship pulled away from Station Orel. Through the window, the humans watched the station grow smaller. Around it, ships from 12 species maintained their eternal vigil. Now there would be 13. Hannah stood beside her captain. "We did it," she said softly. "We really did it," Una nodded. "We did, but this is not the end. It is the start. Now we have to prove that they made the right choice. We have to show them that humans can be trusted, that we can contribute, that we belong." Tay joined them. "We will. Whatever it takes, however long it takes, we will show them." The ship accelerated toward home, toward Earth, toward billions of people waiting to hear what had happened. They would bring good news. The best news? Humanity was no longer alone. Humanity had a family among the stars. And if that family ever faced darkness, ever faced danger, ever faced enemies that threatened their peace, then they would discover what humans could truly do. Not as monsters, as guardians. The walking nightmares of the outer spiral arm had become the newest protectors of peace, and across the galaxy in ways they did not yet understand. Everything had changed. A new age had begun. The humans had arrived, and they were exactly what the Union needed.